Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good morning. So this is a continuous seminar series conducted by the Muslim Majlis of University of Jawatanapura. So we have started the seminars for O-level since the O-level exams are nearby. So today I will be doing a quick revision on Unit 6 from grade 11, biological process in the human body. So you all might have already studied this unit. And of course, you all know this unit cannot be completely done within 2 hours. You might have taken more than 2 weeks to finish this unit because it comprises of many uh, subtopics. So what am I going to do today is I'm not going to go into depth of anything, but I'm going to tell you what are the important things you have to see under each topic. What are the very important things? Of course, there will be other minute details they might examine, but then the very I'm going to highlight all the obvious facts that are going to be asked in your exams. And also, if you all have done the paper from 2016, so first exam was done, first exam of this new syllabus was done in 2016 first. But then, if you examine all the years from 2016 up to now, you can see in the essay question, the essay part, I mean the part 2, B section. The first question, you always get one section from this unit. So you might have noticed that the very first question of the essay is always from this unit, or otherwise it is from unit reproduction. Okay, that is from grade 10, and from grade 11 you have this unit where they will examine you one system from each part. Okay, so first of all, uh, we should know what is the importance or objective of this unit. So this topic itself says biological process in the human body. The very nice and a peculiar thing about this unit is everything is intertwined. They are all together. Now, you all have to answer when I'm asking questions because I'm going to go with questions. I will show you all the O-level questions that have been asked until now. I'll try to show everything. Uh, yeah, so you have to give your answers. Make it interactive so that you all won't be bored, and we can make this session an interesting session. Okay. So, the basic thing that we all need in our life is something you all know. So you all have to think what is the one thing you all need to do anything for any need something, and that is what you call it as energy. So energy is, energy is the ability to work, right? So if you want to have the ability to work, you need the energy. How do you get the energy in the body? That is the primary objective of this unit. Okay, that is the primary objective of this unit. By the end of this chapter, you might have understood that all the systems are interconnected with each other. It is because all their aim is to provide our body the energy. Okay, so what is the energy that is needed by our body? There are many types of energy, right? You have mechanical energy, heat energy, thermal energy. So heat and thermal are equal, same, but there's a small difference. I hope you all know that difference between thermal and heat. And you might have sound energy, electrical energy. There are so many types of energy. What do you think is the energy that is needed for our body? What is the type of energy? You can either unmute your mic and answer, otherwise you can put in the chat. Yes, exactly. So chemical energy. So chemical energy is the primary energy. Yes, correct. Chemical energy is the primary energy. I mean, that is the only energy that we need. So our primary object by these units is to gain the energy. So let's see our book. I mean, your book. So this is the book. This is your unit 6 from grade 11, which is a very big unit. But if you study this thoroughly, you can get really pretty good marks. You can accumulate your marks. Okay. So, this unit comprises digestion, circulation, what else? Respiration, blood circulation, And then homeostasis. I guess it's coordination and homeostasis in the human. So these are the things that are we going to see. These are the biological processes that are taking place in our body, and we have separate system for each. We have separate system for each. So what are we going to study under all the process is what are the things we have to study. We are going to focus on every topic is now. Let's say digestion. You study what is the system related, the organs and so on, so the structural thing. Okay. Then you go with the functions. What are the functions that are taking place? Okay, and what are the helps you get, like the enzymes or the transporters or the neurons? What are the helps you get? Or else, yeah, with that you will also study what are the problems arising. Okay, what are the problem arising in each system? So that is another one thing you are going to study. And then finally, at the end, there will be something for you to learn, for you to practice in your life, that how you can prevent all these diseases. Okay. Now, as I was saying, I hope you all can see my screen. As I was saying, the energy is the primary thing we need in our body. Okay. So how do we get energy? First, we eat, right? When we eat, that is what we call nutrition. So that is what we call nutrition. So when you get the food, when you take it inside the mouth, you are starting to digest it. So you need your digestive system. That is how the digestive system works. So then digestive system come into work. I'll just write digestion. And after digestion, all the nutrients, they go through blood circulation. They all go through blood circulation. Now the nutrients are being circulated in the body. Then you do respiration. You do respiration. What do you get by respiration? You take inside oxygen. Again, the oxygen is transported via the blood circulation. So then now they are all now they are all in the blood circulation. Now they are all taken inside the cell. Okay, from blood circulation, everything comes in the cell. So the cell will do the cellular respiration, where the food, the nutrients, or let's say glucose and oxygen react with each other, and they give carbon dioxide, water, and energy. So that's how you get energy. Did you know I told carbon dioxide? Yeah. So what is carbon dioxide? It's a waste product. If it gets accumulated in our body, it is toxic to our body. So what should we do? We should remove it. So it is a part of the biological process. So then you have excretion. I wish to say you have excretion also in this unit. Okay. Then what you do is you excrete. Then you do excretion. Now you can see right now the digestive system, circulatory system, respiratory system, excretory system, everyone is working. So we should connect them all. We should coordinate them all. So what do we need? We need our nervous system and our endocrine system. So that is the coordination. So that is where you connect all these systems, and you give good information. You say you are hungry, you need energy. So someone should go and tell the digestive system, someone should go and tell the nervous system, brain. So you connect everything with nervous system, and also chemical system in the sense endocrine system. Okay, so now you have energy. Then what is next? Then people can do reproduction. So this is how everything is interconnected with each other. Okay, so this is the first thing you should understand about this unit. So everything will make sense. So now I've given you the general idea. Now let's go and see what is about the process of digestion. So as I already told you, I am not to study anything. I'm not going to teach you anything, like not in dance. Okay, it is your duty to see what are the things you have to focus, and how to do questions, and how to prepare yourselves for the exams. I'll also give you some tips how you can prepare before exam. Okay. So as I was telling, energy is the main thing you need. So if you want energy, you need nutrients. So what are the nutrients you get? The nutrients you mainly get is the carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins. These are the main things you get. When you get inside the body, What is the problem with them? Now, the carbohydrates, lipids, and protein, they are like complex organic molecules. You might have studied about them in grade 10 in the first unit. You know, they have monomers and they are all connected together by the bonds and so on and so. So they are complex people. They cannot dissolve easily and they cannot be absorbed by our cells. The poor cells are very small now, they are very, very tiny. But the carbohydrate and so on, they cannot be taken as what we eat. So what should we do? We have to break down them. We are supposed to break down them. So what we do, we take into our body and from the mouth until the let's say small intestine, we try to break all the food we have taken. So that is the aim of digestion. That is the aim of our. This is the definition of the digestion. You know, the definition of digestion, circulation, so and so very they're very rare task during the exam, but please have an idea about it. Okay, so it's a process where you convert the complex organic compounds to simple organic compounds so that it can be absorbed into the human body. If something is happening in our body, we should know why. Otherwise, it's no use, right? So we should know why. So what we do is, so here the organic compounds are big. They cannot be taken into our cells. Also, they are not soluble. Again, they cannot be diffused into the body. So we just break them down into simple things so that they can be absorbed into our human body. Okay. Sorry. So next we should know digestion comprises of two things, mechanical and chemical process. Wherever you do work, you do mechanical work, it's mechanical digestion. Whenever you use some chemical, it's chemical digestion. Let's see an example. Now you take your food into the mouth. Okay, so mouth, you know, it is a part of the digestive system. So when you take into the mouth, what do? You just crush and grind tear with your teeth. You have teeth, right? You have 32 teeth, right? Teeth, right? Yeah. So what you do is you just try to churn it, grind it, and make it like a paste. What did you do? You did work with your, like a machine, you did work with your teeth. So that is the mechanical work you used. You had movement. You know, mechanical energy comprises of kinetic energy and potential energy. Kinetic energy is movement. So you can just remember like that. When you move your mouth and teeth and tongue, so it get crushed. That is the mechanical digestion that starts inside your mouth. Also, you know, when you are eating, you're not eating some dry paste, right? Something comes and mixed with that. What is that? That is your saliva. In your saliva, you have salivary amylase. What is salivary amylase? It is an enzyme. You know what is an enzyme? You might have studied when you're studying proteins that enzymes are the organic, they are the proteins who are the catalyst, who will be taking part in the reaction, but they will not be consumed. What is their job? Their job is to increase the rate of the reaction. So salivary amylase in the saliva comes and it helps the starch in your carbohydrate to be converted to maltose. So starch will be converted to maltose. So we have another name for salivary amylase, that is thiolate. So remember that one also. So these are, so now you know, you use the chemical, right? You use the chemical substance, which is an enzyme. What is it? Salivary amylase. So what is the digestion you did here? It's chemical digestion. Okay, so I told you what is mechanical process. So there's an example. Then you know what is chemical process. So that was done in the mouth by our salivary amylase. Okay, so they will ask you a question like, where does the chemical digestion start? Where does the mechanical digestion start? What is the chemical digestion that take place in the mouth? What is the enzyme that takes part in the reaction in the mouth? Okay, these are all the questions they might ask you. And also, you know, there are also other nutrients right now, like let's say some vitamins, mineral salt, glucose, fructose, galactose. They are now very tiny particles. They are already simpler, so they can be easily taken into our body. Okay, now this is the general idea. So whoever helps in the digestion, we call them as a digestive system. Now, human digestive system is somewhat different to other organisms. Okay, so we don't need to know the differences, obviously. So you should know human digestive system. It is a single tube that runs from mouth to anus. Okay, so first um, let's see the digestive tract. So you can see the picture. This is digestive tract. Is a buccal cavity. It's your mouth cavity. So from the buccal cavity, it comes like this, and it attaches to esophagus. Then it goes into the stomach. Then from the stomach, it comes into the small intestine. Then from the small intestine, it goes to large intestine, and then it goes to rectum, and then anus. So these are the parts of the digestive system, and very specifically alimentary canal, because it is a tube, right? So I'm just saying it's an alimentary canal. There are also some other accessory glands that help in the digestion. Who are they? Liver, gallbladder, pancreas, and the salivary gland. They are not they are not a part of the tube, but there are some accessory glands that come and drain some substances into the alimentary canal. So you have to know them also. When you exclude them and say this is alimentary canal, when you include them, you call it as digestive system. That is the difference between the alimentary canal and digestive system. Okay, please remember that as well. Yeah. So they might have told this one as well. So the glands also help, like salivary gland, pancreas, liver. So what does the salivary glands give you? Saliva. Pancreas gives that pancreatic juice. We will be learning it in a while. Then we have liver. Liver gives bile, and so these substances will help the digestive system to perform its function, where the food will be broken down, which is called digestion. It will be absorbed, and then we will remove the undigested materials as well. So that is the feces. Okay, they are not waste material. Why? They are not a part of a reaction. When it is a part of a reaction, you call it as waste product, but they are not waste product. They are just the undigested materials. Okay, so now you did digestion, and some things you can't digest. So those parts, they will come out, okay, through the anus. So that is the removal of undigested materials from the body. So we have looked at the digestive tract. Sorry. Now we should know function. So we saw the structural type of the system. Now we will see the functional process. Okay, so I was already telling you the digestion starts in the buccal cavity. We can divide the digestion in many sites: buccal cavity, stomach, small intestine, somewhat large intestine, because there is fermentation and so on. It's not that important. That's the first three are enough. Okay, so mouth opens the buccal cavity to the environment. So when you open your lips, so then the buccal cavity is in contact with your environment. So you have muscular lips at the bottom, and then you have upper and lower jaws. So if you touch your jaws, the upper jaw, it will never move. Whenever you are talking or you are opening the mouth, the one who moves is the lower jaw. It's somewhat special. Okay, so this they can ask you in the MCQ. They can put a sentence and they can ask you to make identify which is the correct statement. So you should know. So teeth are present in both the jaws, and our buccal cavity is surrounded by cheeks. These are all helping for the mastication. What is mastication? It's like churning and those things. Okay, it's mixing the food with saliva. Now the tongue, you have the tongue also. It also helps it's like the floor of the buccal cavity. So these salivary glands, so you have salivary glands in the buccal cavity itself. There are 3 salivary glands. There are specific names for all salivary glands, but that's not necessary now. They will secrete saliva, and tongue is very nice thing in our body because it is the one which identifies the taste. Okay, then only you get appetite when you taste a very good food. So you'll get the appetite and you will obviously eat. Then tongue also helps in mixing the food with the saliva, and it helps in swallowing. So here you have one thing to remember. You should know the functions of the tongue. Okay. 1, identification of taste. 2, mixing of food with saliva. 3, swallowing. So if you don't have tongue, you can't do any of this. If you can't swallow, you're never getting energy. Okay, so just remember tongue has 3 functions and these are the functions. Okay, so already I was telling you in saliva, we have salivary amylase, which is called thiolin. So it will act on the starch. It will only act on starch. So what is starch? Is it carbohydrate, protein, lipids? What is it? Yes. Can you be more specific? What type of carbohydrate?
Polysaccharide.
Exactly. It's polysaccharide. So why I was asking you what is it is because, like now it's polysaccharide, right? You might have studied some polysaccharides and monosaccharides. You might know some differences. Now, monosaccharides, they are sweet, soluble, and they are crystal in shape. But then when you see the polysaccharide, they are not sweet, they are insoluble, and yeah, they're insoluble. So the problem comes here. So starch is insoluble. You have to make it soluble. Only if you make it soluble and break into pieces, you can absorb them into your cells. So that is why now the starch has a specific enzyme called salivary amylase, which you can also call it as thiolin. Why do we call it a salivary amylase? Because we will be coming across another amylase in pancreas. So always remember to write salivary amylase. You all have an experiment. Never mind. I'll tell it later. So starch, it will be partially digested. Why do they say partially digested? Not everything is digested. Some of the starch will go into a small intestine as well. Okay. So partially digested, and so where does the digestion of food start? It starts in the mouth itself. Don't forget it. So salivary amylase will turn into maltose. So that is why when you chew rice or bread for a long time, you will sense the sweet because the maltose is sweet. And then now the food will be formed into a bolus, not the nice food you ate from the plate, but it's now like a bolus, and it is pushed into the posterior part. What is posterior? Behind. Okay, it's behind. So posterior part is push in the pharynx. Pharynx is a very crucial part of our body. Why? Because it is a common area to two systems, respiratory system and digestive system. Again, this is a question for you. They might ask you, name the area which is common to both respiratory and digestive system. People often get to confuse with pharynx and larynx. Don't forget pharynx. Pharynx is the one which is common to both respiratory and digestive systems. Okay. Now, why is it important? Now, if you eat a piece of, let's say you eat a grain of rice, and then that grain of rice, instead of going into the digestive system, it goes into the respiratory system, you can even die. Okay. When you aspirate something, you can even die. So therefore, we have something. Okay. So the God created something to close the respiratory system while you are eating. Let's see. So you have a movable organ called epiglottis. Okay. So we can see in the picture. So the guy over here, this is the epiglottis. Now this is the respiratory system and this is the digestive system. So whenever you are eating something through your mouth, when you're eating something through the mouth, this guy comes in close like this. The epiglottis will close the respiratory system so that without any problem, the food particle can be swallowed into your digestive system. That's why we say you should not talk while you are eating. Why? Because when you are talking, what happens is you are you need the air should go in. When you're talking, the air, something, the vocal cords, they should vibrate and so on. So there's a no necessity to epiglottis to be open. So that time you have a high probability of aspirating something into your respiratory system, right? So now Epiglottis is again an important one. So they might ask you which is the part that helps you to prevent entering food particles into the respiratory system. You should know it is epiglottis. Okay. So you know about epiglottis also. Then the bolus, it will enter esophagus without any problem, without entering into the trachea because we have epiglottis. So now it is in the esophagus. Esophagus does not help in the digestion or anything. It's like a passage that allows the bolus to go inside the stomach. But then we have something special about the esophagus. Let's see. Yeah, now the esophagus is like a constricted tube. Whenever the food is going, it will dilate. Okay, so the bolus passes through the esophagus by peristaltic movements. So this is the important thing we should know here. So esophagus is a muscular structure. It has skeletal muscle. It also has smooth muscles. So this muscular structure can give rise to a peristaltic movement. What is peristaltic movement? It's like contraction, dilatation, contraction, dilatation. That type of peristaltic movement which is regulated by neural coordination. Okay, it's not that important. Just remember the food will be, or the bolus will be passed through the esophagus by the peristaltic movements. Okay, yeah, so here you have its contractions and relaxations. So it's like a force that will help the food, the bolus to be propelled forward. Okay. So what you should remember about esophagus? You should remember the peristaltic movement. What you should remember about the epiglottis? It will prevent the aspiration. Okay. So each thing you should know. Now we move into the very important part. We finished the digestion in buccal cavity. Now we come to the digestion in the stomach. So the stomach is like a bag. It's a bag. Okay. It's a dilated sac. It's a muscular part as well. Okay, so now due to the activity of the muscles in the stomach, so stomach also has peristaltic movements. So it also it will also help the bolus to broken down even further, and it will be mixed very well. And now you call it as chyme. So in the esophagus you call it as bolus. Now you call it as chyme. The name gets changed time to time. Okay, this chyme will be mixed with something called gastric juice. So gastric juice is a secretion that is from the stomach. And the gastric juice will have some chemical. Okay, what are they? Hydrochloric acid. You all know hydrochloric acid, strong acid, right? Then you have pepsin enzyme. So again, you know enzyme. Then, there was an MCQ I saw in your prototype paper or something where they asked, give an example for an enzyme which will work optimally in the acidic environment. You get the question, right? It's like you have to name an enzyme which will work optimally in the acidic environment. You should know the answer is pepsin, because pepsin is very closely related to hydrochloric acid. So hydrochloric acid is an acid, so the environment is acid. So pepsin work with acid. So you should be able to write the answer, it's pepsin. So that was the question I saw in one prototype of O-level paper. So just remember that one as well. Why do we need HCl? We need HCl to activate pepsin. If you don't have HCl, the pepsin won't be activated. So what is pepsin related to? It is related to protein. How can you remember? Pepsin P, the protein is also starts with P. So pepsin will help because pepsin helps to start the protein digestion, and it will convert the protein into polypeptides. Okay. After this class, when this class is over, please take a piece of paper and write all the reaction you came across. Okay. Now you have to remember protein will be converted to polypeptides. I'll write PP. It's easy. By pepsin. So what are polypeptides? So polypeptides are, they are chains of amino acids. They are chains of amino acids, but they are not protein. Some proteins are, no, how can I say? No, many polypeptide chains will form a protein. You can remember like that. When you go to A levels and so you study very, very clearly. But then polypeptides are chains of amino acids. Okay. So protein will be converted to polypeptide using an enzyme called pepsin. For the pepsin to work, you need hydrochloric acid. There's something called renin. I think the spelling for renin is double N, but in your book they have given simple N. We will go with the book, right? So renin, they are present in infants, not with the adults or not with the people like you also. So they are found in the infants. That will cause coagulation of the milk. What is coagulation? You know, you have curd. The milk converted to but then milk is liquid, no? So it causes coagulation of milk. So when the babies, you might have seen, if you have small brothers and sisters, you might have seen those kids will drink the milk, and when they vomit, it will be semi-solid. Okay, it's because the renin will make the milk to coagulate. Okay, so it's one of the enzyme in the stomach of infants. So food will retain in the stomach. Is a temporary storage place. About for 3 hours it can be there, and the digestive end products, they are not absorbed here. Guys, not much of absorption in the stomach, but some water, some glucose which you take as glucose, and then some drugs. They can be absorbed. Drugs in the sense, the paracetamol you take or the amoxicillin, so and so, they can be absorbed. Okay. Then, now again you have chyme. So it has partially digested proteins, like it has starch, it has maltose, it has proteins, it has polypeptides, so and so. So it has partially digested protein, digested and undigested carbohydrates, undigested lipids. We have not touched lipids yet. Then we have water, minerals, and vitamins. They will be released into the proximal. Again, what is proximal part? I'll show a picture. So the part close to the stomach is the proximal part. This part close to the large intestine is the distal part. Always proximal means close to your body, closer. Distal means it's away. Okay, so it will be pushed into the proximal part of your small intestine. So we have a special name for the proximal part of the small intestine, which is called the duodenum. Okay. So we divide the small intestine into 3 parts. We have proximal part, middle part, and the distal part. Proximal part, we have the name called duodenum, then we have jejunum, and then we have ileum. But for the time being, knowing duodenum is enough. Okay. Now, when you have not eaten, now your stomach is empty. The muscles in the stomach will start to contract, and that is how you feel hunger, because now you will feel a pain. It will cause a pain when it contracts a lot. When the rate of contraction is high, you will feel a pain, and the pain will give you the sense of hunger. Therefore, when you're hungry, you should take the food. So now the digestive part, undigested part, lipids, everything are in the small intestine. Likewise, stomach secreted gastric juice. Small intestine will secrete intestinal juice, okay, which will have intestinal enzymes. Also, do you remember we were talking about pancreas? Yeah, pancreas will also secrete secretion called pancreatic juice. So these will all be drained into the duodenum. Small intestine is very long. It is 7 meters in length. And the proximal part of the small intestine, which is a duodenum, is C-shaped. You want to see the C-shaped? Yeah. So this is the C-shaped. Okay. Right. Now, the duct of the pancreas, gallbladder is also a gland close to the liver, which will store bile. But who will produce bile? Bile will be produced by liver, stored by gallbladder. Okay, and it will be released into the duodenum. Bile is very important for the digestion of lipids. We will see why. For now, we will see now the pancreatic juice will be secreted into the duodenum, and it will have mainly 3 enzymes for three main organic molecules. What are they? Trypsin. The organic molecules are carbohydrate, protein, and lipids. Here you have the enzymes trypsin, amylase, and lipase. So trypsin is related to protein. Amylase, I told you we will come across another amylase in the pancreas. Yeah, this is the carbohydrate, and lipase, it's lipase. Now, I told you the bile. Bile will be carried through the bile duct and it will be added into the duodenum. And I told bile is produced in the liver but stored in gallbladder. Also, bile will have bile pigments, bile salts, bicarbonate ions, water. Again, this is a question for you. They might ask, what are the components of the bile? Give 2 components of bile. They can ask you. So you should know there are pigments, there are salts, bicarbonate ions, and water. So now everything will be mixed together. Now, why do we need bile? Bile will, it will break down the lipids into small droplets. Okay, it will break down the lipids into small droplets, and that process we call it as emulsification. Again, you have a question. What do you mean by emulsification? So you have to see the breaking down of the lipids into small droplets by the mixing of bile. Okay, so you should know what is emulsification. So why do we make into small droplets? You all know. Let's take zinc plate and we take zinc powder, which has more surface area. Zinc powder has more surface area. So likewise here, if we take a very big lipid particle, we take small droplets of lipids. Small droplets of lipids will have more surface area. So therefore, the rate of reaction can be increased, right? When the surface area is increased, the rate of reaction can be increased. So here also we can increase the rate of reaction. So that is why we do this emulsification. Also, there are some other reasons which we won't be studying here, maybe later. Okay, then we have intestinal juice. So intestinal juice, now they will have maltase. It's not O's, okay? It's A's. Whenever there's an enzyme, it's A's, almost A's. So maltase, you have sucrase, you have lactase, you have peptidase, and mucus. You all know mucus. This mucus will lubricate the food so that it can be easily passed through along the gut. Again, what is gut? That is also your digestive tract. Okay. So now this mucus will protect your inner lining of the gut wall. Now let's say this is the gut wall. Oh wait, it's a gut wall. So this inner lining will be protected by the mucus. Okay, and you know proteins in the why should be we should know why the gut wall should be protected, or from what it should be protected. So the proteins, they are present in the wall of the stomach and intestine. They produce some protein digestive enzymes, right? You know, even our walls of the gut are made up by proteins. So those protein breaking enzyme, protein digestive enzyme can digest the gut wall even. So we have to protect the gut wall from being digested by the protein digestive enzymes. So that is why we have mucus. Mucus will prevent digestion of the lining of the gut wall. Okay, now we have so many enzymes in the small intestine which are secreted by pancreas and small intestine. So pancreas, you have 3. I told you what are the substrate. Substrate mean what is the food. And from proteins you will get polypeptides, from starch maltose, from lipids you will have fatty acids and glycerol. So fatty acids and glycerol are the end products of lipids. So these are the end products. So you go through them. So it's just to remember for you. So finally, you know, carbohydrate will be converted to monosaccharide, protein to amino acids, and lipids to fatty acids and glycerol. So now we should know what happens to these end products of the digestion. You all know it should be absorbed somewhere. Let's see. So these digestive end products will be absorbed into the body mainly by the small intestine. So then of the small intestine, it should absorb so much of nutrients we eat. So it is adapted to increase its efficiency. It has a long tube. I told you it's 7 meters in length, and then it has presence of circular falls in the inner wall. Okay, is it possible to see the inner? Yeah, so these are the circular folds. Then presence of finger-like projections called villi. So these are the villi. Okay, and then on the villi you have microvilli. So they have magnified and showed you. See, this is a microvilli. And then the epithelial lining on villi is very thin so that it can be absorbed easily. And then villi are highly vascularized. Why? Because blood circulation is the one who takes all the nutrients and circulate among the body and give to whoever wants. So you should obviously remember at least 3 or 4. It's all to remember 4. So this is like a learning point here. Sorry. So you have to remember this. Also make sure to remember this. So these digestive end product will be taken into blood capillaries, the amino acids, vitamins, minerals, and monosaccharides. Who are missing? We are missing fatty acids and glycerol. Why? Because now the fatty acids and glycerol are not like everything. They are a little bit different because they are oily, right? So they won't be absorbed into the blood directly. They will be absorbed into something called lacteals. What is lacteals? So this is lacteals. The green color thing you see over here, that is lacteals. So these lacteals will drain the fatty acids and glycerol into lymphatic system, and the lymphatic system will again provide them to the blood circulatory system. So you should know that fatty acids and glycerol are not taken into the blood circulation directly, but through lacteals. Okay, right. Now we have eaten so much. We have eaten cake, so much of sugar, and so and so. What happens to your blood circulation? Glucose level goes up immediately. So we have to we have to reduce the blood glucose level. So increase of the blood glucose level in your body is called diabetes. So obviously we don't want diabetes to be happen because it's really a pain, right? Uh, so what we do is we convert the extra glucose into glycogen. You all can remember glycogen, right? You might have studied it is the storage mainly in the liver of the animals, right? In unit 1. Hope you all remember. You should remember your grade 10, obviously. So this glucose will be converted to glycogen and they will be stored in the liver. So whenever you are starving, like now when you are fasting, when you are starving, this glycogen will be broken down. It will be broken down and it will give the glucose to our body. Okay, so that is the essence of whatever I have sent you, told you. And then now there are some unabsorbed materials. When you eat pepper or when you eat good fiber content food, they won't be digested in our body. Okay, so what they do is they will be pushed into the large intestine. Okay, now large intestine also a long one, 1.5 meter. Obviously not like small intestine, but it's quite long. So in the large intestine, you have you have a cecum. It is the starting part of the large intestine, and the ending part is called the anus. So you will have a dilated part in. Okay, I'll show a picture so you can understand. We are taking so much time for digestion, but I think it will work. Okay, so this is the cecum part. This is anus part, and it is for the rectum. Okay, hope you understood. Yeah. So let's say that is the rectum, and the opening is the anus. So everything we have not digested, that will be in the large intestine, and the water will be like they will be reabsorbed into our body. So it will contain mainly undigested cellulose and water, because we don't right? You might have studied in grade 10 unit 1, cellulose is a polysaccharide that won't be digested by the human body. Why? Because we don't have the specific enzyme for cellulose. But the cow, goat, those people, they have a special enzyme called cellulase where they can digest cellulose also, but therefore that comes out.
So the undigested cellulose and water are mainly in the large intestine, and this water will be reabsorbed. And there is a small blind-ended tubular structure at the end of the cecum, which is called appendix. You know, right? Appendix, people often go for surgeries like appendicitis, where we remove the appendix away. So it's very small in humans, but it can be infected. Whenever we are eating some spoiled food or something, that can be infected and it becomes swollen, and it gives you so much of pain in your right side, because appendix is the right side. So, and it can lead to appendicitis. Okay. So the main function of the large intestine is to absorb water. You have to remember that. Okay. And it will make the undigested part semi-solid. Okay, and it will be now you call it as fecal matter. So first you call it as bolus, and then you call it as chyme. Now you call it as fecal matter. This fecal matter is yellow color. You might have noticed, right? Why is it yellow color? You remember I told you bile contains pigments. These pigments are yellow in color, so they give color to fecal matter. So what do you understand by this? Bile pigment also comes with the feces out. Okay, so undigested food. You have to remember what are the components of the fecal matter. Undigested food, microorganism, epithelial cells, and mucus are the components of the fecal matter. And whenever your large intestine is filled with fecal matter, it passes out from the rectum, right? Then finally, we have diseases and disorders. I'm not going in more detail of this. Okay, we'll just quickly go through this. So you know, digestive system is like it has a high chance of infection. Why? Digestive system is related to to the environment. ANS opens to the environment, so we have higher chance of getting infected. And also there are many diseases related, and we have a very special disease related to you, all of you. You'll see that one as well. So first one, we have gastritis. So you're obviously all of you know about this gastritis, because when you eat spicy food, you have a burning sensation in the stomach, or else you skip meals because you're too busy. You skip breakfast because you all have to go early in the morning to school, and then you don't get enough time during the interval, and so and so. So you all skip breakfast. It is the main cause for gastritis. Also, now the exam is so close, you have to get an A and everything. You all are very stressed. That also can lead to gastritis, because stress can stimulate the secretion of hydrochloric acid. So hydrochloric is an acid. You know how vigorous it is. Okay, so it can damage your line. Okay, so that is how you get gastritis. It is because of the acidity and recent skipping meals, acidic and spicy food, and some people smoke and alcohol consumption, and also mental stress. The other thing is constipation. It's because you control your fecal matter frequently, so you will have difficulty in defecation, because now the fecal matter is it was there for a long time and now it's hardened, so it will be very hard for you to release all the fecal matter from your body. So it is because you're not drinking proper enough water, volume of water, or defecating at the correct time, or always postponing, or you're getting low dietary fibers. Okay, so y'all have to eat vegetables, those greeny things. Okay, so how can you avoid them? You can avoid them by avoiding these reasons. Don't skip your meals. Don't eat acidic and spicy. Not don't eat. Reduce eating acidic and spicy food. Yeah, but prevent smoking and alcohol consumption. Maintain your mental stress. So and so you can avoid it. Okay. Due to constipation, people it also leads to hemorrhage, where there is continuous bleeding. People may die even. Okay. Then typhoid. Typhoid is related to a bacterium. I think the name is Salmonella typhi. So it can be transported through food and water. It also can enter into your body by your mouth when you're swimming in like contaminated water, or bathing in the contaminated water. Also, it can also enter through the fecal matter, and you will feel pain in your arms and legs, always headache, fever, and so and so. It can gradually become worse, and If you see your tongue, there will be a plaque. And stomach ache, diarrhea will be there, ulcers will be there in the intestine, and it can cause bleeding. So you will be defecating with blood and all. Yeah, these are the reasons for these are the things you can see in typhoid. But the typhoid can be prevented when you get a vaccine. Then you have diarrhea. It's very common. All of us, when we were small, we used to have this diarrhea because infants are more prone to diarrhea. So diarrhea occurs when the intestine are infected with a virus or bacteria or parasite. So it can be any reason. And it also can be, this disease can be transmitted by the feces of an infected person. You know, right? Diarrhea is like watery stool coming out because there is no absorption of water in the large intestine because of some toxins in the large intestine. Dehydration, it can occur when you lose more water. Even dehydration, when it becomes worse, we can die. So you can do prevent this diarrhea and constipation by drinking boiled water, because microorganisms will be killed, and removing of the breeding places, so and so. You all can read this and understand. But I'll say what is important. You have to remember at least 3 here. You have to remember 2. You have to remember again 3. Okay. And also you have to remember typhoid is by a bacteria. Diarrhea can be by virus, bacteria, parasite. And you should know dehydration can occur by diarrhea. D. Okay. So that is for your digestion. Do you have any doubts regarding digestion? I know I just gave an overview. It is up to you guys to learn everything. Yes, it's double M. So, yes. Any doubts? Okay, we don't have time, so I guess no doubt. Shall we move to a question? So this is blood circulation. Okay, here we have a question from 22 batch. So this is related to human digestive system. We'll try to do this. I don't think we will be able to finish every part of this unit, but let's try our best. So can you, let's see the question given below is a sketch of the human digestive system. Yes, obviously. Name the parts A, B, and C. What is A? Unmute your mic and say, because I can't see the chats.
Esophagus.
Esophagus, exactly. What is B?
Small intestine.
Small intestine.
Yes. Yes, very good. Small intestine. C?
Large intestine.
Large intestine.
Exactly. Brilliant. So these are the parts. Obviously, all know. Hereafter, you don't have to see this. So, you know, this is rectum, this is anus, this is gallbladder, this is pancreas, this is duodenum. Okay. So these are the possibilities. Nothing else. And this guy over here, the small one, that is the appendix. That's all. But they ask you very easy questions. Okay. Don't worry at all. The second one, what is the function of the bile produced in the liver in the process of food digestion? What will you say?
Emulsification.
Emulsification of what?
Lipids.
Exactly. You have to always say emulsification of lipids. Okay, because there is emulsification of soap as well. That's different. Okay. Then third one, you have what is the protein digestive enzyme contained in pancreatic juice? Remember, they are asking it's the only one that is present in in pancreatic juice.
Trypsin.
Trypsin. Yes, it's trypsin. So, trypsin is a protein digestive enzyme which is contained in pancreatic juice. Now, can someone say, is trypsin an acidic enzyme or basic enzyme? I'll give a clue. Bile has bile pigments, bile salts, bicarbonate ions, and water.
So it
what do
should be a base,
a-
I guess.
Exactly, it's a basic enzyme because you have bicarbonate ions. So it works in so if bicarbonates are there, it's basic. And if basic in a basic environment, if enzyme is working, it's a basic enzyme. That is how you work it out. Very good. Next, state 3 adaptation in structure B to absorb digested end products of food to blood efficiently. So I told you, like, there are 4 and 5. I asked you to remember at least 3. Now they have asked you 3. So you have to remember at least 4 people. So I'm not going to ask for the answers. You all know, you can see the books and get your answer. What is the function performed by C? Yes. You have to tell the answer for this.
Absorption of water.
Yes, exactly. It's absorption of water. That's enough. Finally, yeah. So this is where the hard part begins. It tests your memory. Inflammation of inner lining of mucosa is a common disease. What is the name of the disease?
Gastritis.
Gastritis. So you should know inflammation of lining of mucosa is gastritis. Otherwise, you won't be able to answer this. So it is essential for you to remember. Okay, I think there was another question also regarding digestive. Yeah, here from 2020. Okay, let's see. Given below is a sketch of a part of the human digestive system. They didn't give you the whole part, so you see it's repeated. Okay, I personally feel like this time you might get reproduction. Okay, so please look at the reproduction a little more, and I say what else I expect later. But it doesn't mean you don't have to study every other things. Please go through all the systems. Okay, just give more importance for reproduction. Okay, don't take this out. Okay, it's just my assumption, but you all go through all the systems because anyway you can definitely have. Okay, given below is a sketch of a part of the human digestive system. Name the parts. Label P, Q, and R. Okay, P. What is P?
Stomach.
Stomach.
Stomach,
Q.
liver,
Liver. R.
pancreas.
Exactly. Brilliant. That's it. Describe briefly how food is subjected to mechanical digestion. P. How would you describe? Can one of you give me any answer?
Teacher, maybe the contraction of stomach or something.
Yes. So you can easily say, please don't forget to mention. I mean, yeah. Oh, yours is correct. The muscle contraction of the stomach will mix the food with the juices, and it will break down the food into small particles. That's all you have to do. Okay. Then the secretion essential for the emulsification of lipids contained in food is produced by Q. Name that secretion.
Bile.
Questions are being repeated in different forms. Okay. Next is that lipids. The name itself says.
Lipase.
Yes. Better to say pancreatic lipase. Okay. From pancreas, lipids, so lip, and then S is an enzyme, so lipase. Pancreatic lipase. That's how the name was derived. Next, state 2 products formed by the action of that enzyme on lipids. Okay, now what are the products of lipids?
Fatty acid and glycerol. Has glycerol.
Fatty acid and glycerol. That's all. Then the pair of hormones, insulin. Okay. Okay, this one we should go for chemical coordination. Yeah, that's all for that question. Okay, so I hope you got a good understanding of digestion. So now let's move to respiration. So respiration is not interesting like digestion. Digestion is really interesting, but I feel like respiration is not that interesting. But it is a biological process we take inside carbon dioxide, and we take oxygen. Sorry, we take oxygen inside and we release carbon dioxide out. Mm. Okay, let's see. So here also we should understand what are the functions of the respiration. Why do we do the respiration? What is the system, respiratory system, the function of the system, and the related diseases. We'll go a little bit fast. Okay, we have already finished 1 hour with digestion. So respiration is a biological process. So where there is gas exchange in the animals, where you breathe inside oxygen and you breathe out carbon dioxide through your nasal cavity. So respiration is a complex process and it has 3 stages. So now again, you have to remember all three stages. I feel like there wasn't any much questions regarding the respiration. So please go through respiration as well. Okay. I was searching for questions for you all, but then I couldn't find any questions related to respiration in your final papers. So it's better to look at respiration very well. So gas exchange between external environment and lungs, gas exchange in alveoli, cellular respiration. These are the three stages in respiration. So we know we take inside oxygen into the lung and we remove the carbon dioxide from the cells to the external. So this is a activity you had in grade 7 also. If I'm correct, it should be grade 7 or 8. Okay, so I'm skipping it, but you all go through it later. Okay, so now we are going to the functions of the respiratory system. Before that, we are going to see the structure of the respiratory system. You see, it starts with nasal cavity, and you have the pharynx. Remember the pharynx, the common area for respiratory system and digestive system. Exactly. Then you have trachea. Then you have bronchus over here, and then you will have this side also. And then you have bronchioles, and then you have the diaphragm. So these are the main parts of the respiratory system. What is a sternum? Do you have any idea about sternum? It is a type of bone. Okay, it's a type of bone. So when you touch the midline of your body, upper body, you can feel a bone. You can feel a bone. Okay, the bone is the sternum. If you are doing English literature, you all know in the Lahore attack, you have that the blood lodged into the sternum. That's bone. Okay. So what are the main parts of the respiratory system? Nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, alveoli. So these are the main parts. And this bronchi, bronchioles, alveoli, they are all inside the lungs. Okay. So the internal surface of the nasal cavity, you know, if you touch your nasal cavity, you can feel mucus, right? Whenever you get infected, that mucus is like so much, and then you will have runny nose and all. Yeah. So the internal surface is covered with mucus, and when you touch, you can see hair-like things. So yeah, they are hair. And if you touch a little bit behind, you can feel some cilia will be there. So since there is mucus, the lining is moist and there are cilia in your nasal cavity. So whenever there is bacteria, dust, and other waste materials which are in the air, they will stuck onto the mucus, and that is it will be stuck into your mucus. So that will be helping to prevent the entry of them into your lungs. So the rhythmic movement of the cilia will remove all the waste material out, and the material that are collected at the pharynx will be removed out with our saliva. So that's always better to spit your saliva out, okay? Because that might be having some waste material, so it's better. Next, Okay, this is one of very final paper. If I'm not wrong, it should be last year paper or before that. There was a question: what are the changes that take place when when air was inhaled through the nasal cavity? You should know. They asked, I guess, two. Please try to remember all the three. But what is done is the inhaled air is moisturized, and also it is heated up. It warmed up our body temperature. Are you confused how it is moisturized and warmed up? Because they are like two opposite things. No, they are not opposite. Okay, you will learn it later because we don't have time to go through it now. So then you have and then you have to remove the foreign matter from the inhaled air. So these are the three changes that take place in your nasal cavity. Again, very, very important to remember this. Okay. Also remember that cilia has rhythmic movements, and what is the function of mucosa in the nasal cavity. Right. So yeah, now warming up means now our environment might be 30.5 degrees Celsius, but in our body is 37.5 degrees Celsius. So whenever the air is taken inside our body, it is heated up to our body temperature. Okay. So lungs are present in the thoracic cavity, which is protected by the ribs, and there are intercostal muscles that are present within the ribs. Now you see, these are, now let's say these are the ribs, one side of the ribs. You have muscles like this. These are the intercostal muscles. Okay. And the lower limit of the thoracic cavity is the diaphragm. So the diaphragm is the only skeletal muscle that works involuntarily in our body. You all know, right? Yeah. So this is all about the structure of the respiratory system, and we will move on to the function. You know, the respiration consists of inspiration and expiration, or else you can say breathing consists of inspiration and expiration. So during the inspiration, what happens? Air will enter into our lungs. So if the air should, if the air should be entered into our lungs, we should have some space in our lungs so that the volume of the lungs will be increased. So to increase the volume of the lungs, okay, this one you should remember like a flow chart. Okay. To increase the volume of the lungs, volume of the thoracic cavity should be increased. This occurs due to some changes. So what happens is intercostal muscle will contract. When it contracts, the rib will move up. It will move up. And sternum move up in the sense like this way, up. And the sternum will move forward, mean out of this paper, okay, out of this board. It will move forward. Sternum will move forward. At the same time, the diaphragm will contract, and it will reduce its curvature because it was already like this, you know. When it come down, it will become like this. So now you have this whole area of lungs. So at that time, what will happen? The volume of the thoracic cavity will increase so that the pressure will decrease. So air will enter into the lungs through the nose. So what happens during expiration? The vice versa occurs. The volume of the thoracic cavity should decrease. If it should decrease, the volume of the lung should decrease. To reduce the volume of the lungs, the thoracic cavity should decrease. Okay, this is done by intercostal muscle. It contracted before, now it is relaxed. So the sternum and ribs will come to its original position. The diaphragm will relax and becomes curved. So due to these activities, the lungs will decrease. So the volume of the lungs will decrease. So thereby the gas inside the lungs will move out to the trachea and then the nasal cavity. Understood? Do you have any doubt regarding this process? Okay, I guess no. So we study about the first part. Now we go to the gas exchange. No, it's the third. This is the last part, right? Yes. Oh, it's the second part. The gas exchange that take place in the alveoli. So these are the alveoli. Can you see they are like grapes? Small air sacs are there. So they look like a bunch of grapes. So the bronchioles will be attached to this air sac where there are many alveoli. So singular of alveoli is alveolus, you know. And you see the blood capillaries are all around the air sacs. Okay, let's see. So the inhaled air will reach the alveoli. And you know, let's say okay. Now this is the alveoli. Let's say this is the membrane, and this is the blood. What happens? The oxygen will come here, carbon dioxide will go here. This is the essence of this gas exchange. So the oxygen concentration in the alveoli will be very greater than the blood capillary network. So the oxygen will diffuse into the alveoli, while the carbon dioxide and the water vapor will be diffused into the alveoli. Yes. So the gas exchange will take place in alveoli, as you see in the picture here. Yeah. So again, I saw this one somewhere. I think this is the last year paper. Yeah, this is last year one. Yes, I saw this one. So this was there. Place where the gas exchange will between external environment. You should remember this. Anywhere in any organisms, yeah, the place where the gas exchange between the external environment and blood takes place, it is the respiratory surface. Remember, for human, the respiratory surface is the wall of alveoli. Don't write lungs. Okay, don't just write alveoli. Write down wall of alveolus or alveoli wall. Okay. So how does that take place? It takes place by diffusion. Exactly. This was also a question. They asked what is the respiratory surface. They asked what is the process of the gases exchange, and they asked to write down what is this gas and what is this gas. These were the questions. This is last year. I don't have the paper now. Fine. Right. Now, you should know some characteristics of the respiratory surface. Obviously, they will definitely ask if there's a question regarding respiratory system. So there are 4. You need to remember all 4. At least 3. Okay, what are the adaptation? It should be moist and it should be permeable for gas exchange. Then only oxygen and carbon dioxide can go. Otherwise, they are very rigid structure. How can they diffuse? They can't diffuse. So there should be some spaces. Okay, so surface should be thin for diffusion of gases. Yeah, it should be thin. But if it's like a very thick wall, then it can't happen. And you know, if you need to increase the rate of something, you should have a large surface area. So that is why the air sets are small grapes like structures. Okay, so a large surface area to exchange large volume of gas, and then the surface is highly vascularized because then only all the carbon dioxide and oxygen can be diffused easily. Remember, what are small ones? This is a small one, this is a small one, this is a small one. So at least remember them 3. Okay, now this is the characteristics of the common respiratory surface. Now we have specially for wall of the alveoli. So if they ask for the adaptation of wall of alveoli, then you have to write this. Better to remember 4. Thin alveolar wall, moist alveolar surface. The same thing here. You are going to write instead of surface, you are going to write alveolar wall. Okay. So presence of blood capillary and network around alveoli, presence of large number of alveolar sacs. So these are the adaptation of alveoli for efficient gas exchange. Then we have cellular respiration. This is the last part of the respiratory function. So what is cellular respiration? It's very important. Why? This is how we get our energy. So oxygen moves through alveoli, reacts with simple organic compound, which is glucose. And during that chemical reaction, the energy will be released. So therefore, respiration is the process of oxidation of simple foods to produce energy for the biological activities within our living cell. This equation and these equations are compulsory. They are mandatory to be remembered. Okay, glucose, oxygen will give you carbon dioxide, water, and energy, and you need to know the balanced chemical equation for them as well. Right? Now, we have 2 types of respiration: aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Okay, aero. You know aeroplane? So aeroplane goes in the air. So you have air. What is the air we need respiration? We need oxygen. So aerobic respiration, when it is a respiration with the help of oxygen. Then what is anaerobic? That is respiration without the need of oxygen. That's all. So the respiration that takes place in the presence of oxygen is aerobic, and the respiration that is carried out by organisms without oxygen is anaerobic respiration. So the anaerobic respiration, you have many times, you have very special names for them. Let's see the anaerobic respiration that takes place in the plants and yeast cells. You know, yeast cells where we put inside the dough to make it puff. Okay, that is yeast. I guess you all know it's a type of fungi. So anaerobic respiration that takes place there is alcohol fermentation. It's alcohol fermentation. Then we should know the equation for alcohol fermentation. So you can see glucose will be converted to carbon dioxide, ethyl alcohol, and energy. And again, we have for animals, we have lactic acid fermentation. When you're running for 100 meters, you might sometimes you get cramps because you don't have enough oxygen. Then you go for anaerobic respiration to get energy. So the lactic acid will get accumulated in your muscles, which will cause you cramps. So the lactic acid fermentation equation is lactic acid and energy. What is the difference between this and this? Can you see in alcohol fermentation, there is release of carbon dioxide, while in lactic acid fermentation, you don't have carbon dioxide. This is one of the primary difference between them. Okay, I told about the cramps. And you know, you always have to remember the aerobic respiration produces more energy than the anaerobic respiration. It is because there will be incomplete breakdown of glucose in anaerobic respiration. And the energy that was produced by the respiration, part of it will be lost as heat, and rest will be stored in ATP, which is a nucleotide adenosine triphosphate, as chemical energy. Okay, why do we need ATP? Why do we need energy? Okay, that we'll see later. Functions for ATP. So ATP, it store energy. Whenever we need, it will release the energy and it will act as an energy carrier. So these are the activities where we need ATP or the energy. Movement of your muscles, transportation, chemical reactions that take place within organism, synthesis of complex compounds from simple compounds, and so for even digestion, you need ATP. No, not for the digestion, the other way around. Synthesis. Production of new cells, elimination of some organisms, you know, firefly, and generation of electricity like electric eel and so on and so you might need. Okay, we come to the diseases associated with respiratory system, which is quite confusing every time. Let's see. So, disease associated with respiratory system. First is common cold. You all know about it. Almost all of us have this common cold. Okay, it is because of a virus. Remember, common cold is because of virus. You will have headaches, sneezing, cough. They are the symptoms of the disease. As it is related to virus, there are no medical treatment, but we can treat the symptoms. Okay. Also, some people, so we can avoid the dust and mist conditions. Because they are very good for the viral growth. Then you have pneumonia. It can be either by bacteria or virus, where your lungs are infected and fluid accumulate. You will have prolonged cough and cold. It's a serious one. You have to seek medical treatment. And then asthma is like an inflammation in the body. Some people do have, no, they have wheezing and so. Dust, pollen, sawdust, fur, smoke, these are the causative agents. And due to these agents, the bronchioles will get inflamed. So therefore, the cross-sectional area will be reduced. So there will be difficulty in breathing. And it also makes a sound. You have bronchitis or bronchial inflammation. It's because of the inflammation of the bronchioles due to viral or bacterial infection. We'll have heavy cough and difficulty in breathing. Other than bronchioles, the larynx also may get infected. So your voice won't be very clear. Then there is tuberculosis. Tuberculosis is also, now it's not there because we all get BCG vaccine when we were 3 months. Yes, it's tuberculosis. So it is caused by bacteria. Okay, so it will multiply inside our lungs and the tissues will be damaged. Mainly the lungs will be infected, and it will affect our other parts of the body as well, and it will release phlegm, and lungs will deteriorate and it will get perforated. So there will be blood release with the phlegm. And there are some symptoms for tuberculosis where you are always tired, release of blood during coughing, loss of appetite, fever, weight loss. Better to remember any three. Okay. And then the very big problem with respiratory system is smoking. When the disease is associated with smoking, let's see lung cancer, bronchitis, and there are some other diseases related to smoking. Now, you know, carbon monoxide in cigarette smoke, it will be absorbed into the blood. It's like an enemy for our oxygen. It won't allow the oxygen to get bound with the hemoglobin. Okay. Instead, the carbon dioxide will go and carbon monoxide will go and readily bind to the hemoglobin. So therefore, oxygen won't be carried out by the hemoglobin to the needful places. That is one problem. Then, you know, you have nicotine in cigarette smoke. It will increase the heart rate temporarily. And then it will destroy the smoke will destroy the cilia, the respiratory tract, and therefore the bronchioles will swell up and it will get inflamed. So this also will cause difficulty in breathing. And also, as these epithelial cells are exposed to cigarette smoke more and more, they will form abnormal cells which develop into cancers. This is not only the problem with the active smokers, but also the passive smokers who are close by to the people who are smoking. You have to be very careful. Then silicosis, basically by silica, glass working, coal mining, quarries and all. So you have to be very careful where your lung tissues can get deteriorated by the silicon getting accumulated in your alveoli. This is called silicosis. Asbestosis is because of the asbestos particles and fibers. Do you know asbestos particles? They are sheets I put as a roof. So it has asbestos particles that can accumulate in our body, and not in the body, I mean in the respiratory tract, and it can destroy our tissues. Okay. So that's it for respiration. Any doubts? It's small one, but any doubts? Okay, great. So I didn't have any proper question for this respiration part, so I'm just we'll go to the next part. So I'm just gonna skip process of excretion because it's easy. It's very simple. If you have time, let's come back to it later. I'm gonna do blood circulation. Because blood circulation is again a very important one. You know, all the glucose, all the oxygen, they are the main components that you need for the production of energy in the body. They will be transported to our cells, and the waste materials from our cells will be transported by this circulation. So blood circulation is very important. Before knowing about the circulation, we should know about blood. Let's take blood. Now the blood is a special connective tissue. Already you have studied, right, types of tissues in unit 1. So you might have studied blood as well. So it's a special connective tissue and it is a red color fluid. You all know, right? It's red. But when you centrifuge the blood, you can differentiate them into 2 different layers. And you can see a pale yellow color fluid on the top and a red color one in the bottom. The pale yellow color is the plasma and the red color one is the corpuscles. Okay, so the plasma is always more than a corpuscles. You should remember that. So that's what I told. And you know, plasma will have so much of components. All the corpuscle will be in the plasma. So when you see a slide, you can see so much corpuscles in the plasma. So blood is divided into 2 parts, corpuscles and plasma. Corpuscles will have red blood cells, and platelets. and you have plasma. So if you take white blood cells, we can even divide them into 5, but before that we can divide it into 2 broad categories, granulocytes and non-granulocytes. And granulocytes, you have all the fields: neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils. Non-granulocytes, lymphocytes, monocytes. Okay, then we have to see each of the cells just for a small understanding. We have red blood cells. We also call it as erythrocytes. So if we take 1 cubic millimeter of our blood, we will have 4 million of red blood cells. So it is the most abundant corpuscle in our blood. These red cells, they are like biconcave disc. They are biconcave disc-like things, and they are red color, so you can easily differentiate them. They are forming the red bone marrow, so they can ask you, where is the red blood cell formed? So can ask, and the lifespan is 120 days, so 4 months. And nucleus is not there because it wants to provide a large surface for absorbing more oxygen, and mitochondria is also not there for the same reason. And also there's a pigment called hemoglobin inside the red blood cell, and that is the one that gives red color to the blood. The hemoglobin will bind very nicely with the oxygen, and it is known as oxyhemoglobin, and it will be transported to the oxygen. It will transfer oxygen to the cells. So this is where the problem comes when there's carbon monoxide, where it won't allow the oxygen to bind to hemoglobin, but rather it will bind to it. And then we have WBC, which is also known as leukocytes. Okay, so it's a type of blood cells. They are quite larger than the size is larger than the red blood cells, but the number is small. They are only like around 6,000 to 11,000, somewhat. 4,000 to 11,000. Here it is. Okay, so but they have nuclei, and they form in a bone marrow. Okay, they form in the bone marrow. They are colorless, so therefore they are known as white blood cells. The ratio is like 600:1. If there are 600 RBC, 1 WBC will be there. Can divide it into granulocytes. So granulocytes, I told you what are they, and if you take 1 millimeter cube of human blood, there will be 4,000 to 11,000 WBC. So you can see the pictures. No need to remember the percentages, but remember you have neutrophils in higher amount. Okay. What are the functions? The functions of the WBC is to destroy the infectious particles that enter the body by phagocytosis. What is phagocytosis? Sorry. What is phagocytosis? It's like a process where you engulf the foreign particles and destroy them. Okay, so therefore, when there is microbial infection, you can see the WBC level goes up. Okay, so when you see the WBC count, you can diagnose the disease. So the function of the WBC is to protect our body from the infectious particle that enter the body. That is done by the process of phagocytosis and a chemical called antibodies. They are proteins. Okay, antibodies are also proteins. That is how that is happened. And then we have finally the platelets. Platelets are not actually cells, but they are fragments of cells. That means this was one cell, and this cell was divided into many parts, and they are fragments of these cells. So therefore, they also don't have nuclei. 1 millimeter cube of blood will contain 150,000 to 400,000 platelets, and they are also formed in bone marrow. So what is the common for all three? They are all formed in bone marrow. Lifespan is very small, around 5 to 7 days. When there's diseases like dengue, leptospirosis, the platelet count will reduce very quickly. Okay, whenever they take a full blood count and they see platelet level going down, they go and check for dengue. Okay, and the platelet contain thromboplastin. So they have something called thromboplastin. They will help in the coagulation of blood. Why do you need to coagulate the blood? When you get a cut in your hand or somewhere in the body, the blood will ooze out. You have to stop coming. You have to stop the blood from coming out. Otherwise, it will lead to hemorrhage, and we can even die due to the loss of blood. But then, when you have a cut for some time, you get the blood out and then it stops. It's because the platelets help in coagulating the blood. So therefore, it won't come out. Right. Next, we have blood plasma. So if we take blood plasma, if we take 100 milliliters of plasma, 92 milliliter is water. Other than that, we have the other components: protein, nutrients, nitrogenous base, hormones, enzyme, gases, and ions, so and so are there. So protein, you have albumin, globulin, fibrinogen. I think it's good to remember the proteins. Nutrients, you can write all the nutrients, monosaccharides, amino acids, fatty acids, glycerol, vitamin, and so and so. And then you have ions, Na plus, K plus, Ca2 plus, Mg2 plus, and everything. You all know the functions of this, right? You might have studied in grade 11, but you want sodium, potassium, so and so. Then you have nitrogenous byproducts like urea, uric acid, creatinine. Then you have gases, oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitrogen. And you have hormones, antibodies, antigens. So you should be able to write the components of blood plasma as well. Then what are the functions of blood? You just have to write what is the function of RBC, what is the function of WBC, what is the function of platelets. Okay, now you can see transportation of materials like digested end products, respiratory gases, excretory byproducts, hormones, so and so. And then protecting the body against pathogenic microbes by phagocytosis and by producing antibodies. And also it maintains the chemical coordination and homeostasis among tissues and organs. Let's see what that is later if we have time. Then now we go and learn about blood circulation. So if you see a TET ball, like a living TET ball over the light microscope, you can you can see the flow of blood within the blood vessels. Okay, so you can even see some videos in YouTube where you can see the blood circulation very clearly. Okay, now we come to the very important organ in our body, the heart. If the heart stops working, we all die. Okay, that is how we know we are dead. So this is the heart. Heart has 4 chambers, right-sided chambers and left-sided chambers. The upper part we call atria, lower part we call ventricles, and then we have valves in base. Also, there are so many veins coming inside and arteries going outside. Okay, these are the main parts of the heart. So you can see the heart here. So the arterial system, it consists of arteries in the blood. So the arteries, what do the arteries do? They take all the oxygenated blood to all over the body, but there's an exception. Pulmonary artery, which comes from the lungs, it takes away, pulmonary artery, which go away from heart to the lungs, it carries oxygenated blood. While all the hearts carry blood. Likewise, veins, they carry deoxygenated blood to the heart, while the pulmonary vein carry oxygenated blood to the heart. This one you should obviously remember, okay? So we can see from the, let's start from the lungs. So the oxygenated blood will be brought inside the left atria and left ventricle, and it will be pumped out through aorta and it will be going into all the structures in our body. And then again, deoxygenated blood will come and it will go inside the right atria and then the right ventricle, and then it will go back again to the lungs, get oxygenated, and the cycle continues. Okay, then our body has double blood circulation. That is, I think, only humans have. Okay. Then the double blood circulation means we have systemic circulation as well as pulmonary circulation. Pulmonary circulation is between the lungs and the heart, and the systemic circulation is between the heart and the other organs of the body. Okay, now pulmonary circulation. Okay, we can learn it using this picture. Can you see from the lungs through the pulmonary artery, the oxygenated the deoxygenated blood goes into the lungs. Okay, the deoxygenated blood goes into the lungs through pulmonary artery from the heart, and then it gets oxygenated, and then the oxygenated blood comes through the pulmonary veins and drains into the right atria, the left atria of the heart. Okay, this is what we call pulmonary circulation. What is systemic circulation? The blood in the left ventricle is pumped out through aorta and it goes to all the systems in our body except the lungs, and the deoxygenated blood is again brought inside the right atria through superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. This is called systemic circulation. So we have two circulation, pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation, where we call it as double blood circulation. The very special thing is in one circulation, the blood goes through the heart twice. Okay, so this is what we call double circulation. And then we have heartbeat. So you all know when you keep your palm on the left side of your body in your chest, you can feel your heartbeat. It is because when the atria and ventricles are pumping blood out of the heart, it will cause some contraction and dilatation of the heart muscle, which will lead to heartbeat. Okay, it will lead to heartbeat. So this heartbeat is almost 72 beats per minute in a healthy person. It can be from 60 to 100. 72 is the ideal one, I guess. Then the pulse rate is also similar to the heartbeat rate. Now, when you're in your hand at your wrist on the lateral side, you can feel your pulse, right? So that is heartbeat. Then you have cardiac cycle. Let's see what is cardiac cycle. So in one heartbeat, the atria will contract and ventricles will dilate. Next, the ventricles will dilate and ventricles contract and atria will dilate. This is like a cycle. It goes and goes. So the contraction of the atria is we call diastole, whereas the contraction of the ventricle is what we call systole. Okay, so for diastole will be there for 0.1 seconds. Systole will be there for 0.3 seconds. After that, atria and ventricles are in relaxed mode. They won't be doing contraction or anything. They're just there, which we call as intervening, which is for 0.4 seconds. Okay, so you should know diastole, atrial contraction, systole, ventricular contraction, intervening atrial and ventricular relaxation. These are the phases or stages of a cardiac cycle. Then you have something called ECG. You might have heard of this, right? Electrocardiogram. So ECG is like, it is an information where we can get about the heart function. If we get about the heart function, then we know if there are any problems in our cardiac muscles and so on. Okay, then we can, we can even identify heart failure, some myocardial infarction and so on using the electrocardiogram. Okay, if you see the electrocardiogram, this is the general one. This is the like the normal person has this this thing. Okay, so ECG wave patterns deviate from normal patterns due to dysfunction of the heart. This won't be there if there is any problem with the heart. Okay, so now this wave will be gone. This will be like very big or something. So that says you what is the problem with the heart. Okay, there's something called lub-dub sound in the heartbeat. So whenever you keep your stethoscope on the chest, if you keep your ear on you can feel lub-dub. It is because now also you have to note another one thing. The lub sound is a little bit longer than the dub sound. So the lub sound is produced when the bicuspid and tricuspid valves close in atrial contraction. Who are bicuspid and tricuspid valves? These are the valves between the atria and ventricles. Okay, when these bicuspid and tricuspid valve close during the atrial contraction, it will give rise to a sound called lub. Again, the dub will be produced and it is shorter when the semilunar valves close. What are the semilunar valves? The valves inside the aorta and pulmonary trunk. Okay, that is what we call semilunar valves. When they are closing, the dub sound will be heard. Then we have blood pressure. So we all know about blood pressure, right? whenever you are angry, you are in stress, the blood pressure increases. So when the heart beats, it contracts and pushes blood through the arteries to rest of our body, right? Yes. Okay. So the force that is created in the arteries are called the systolic blood pressure. The systolic blood pressure is what we call when the force creates a pressure on the arteries. That's what we call systolic blood pressure, and it is usually from 110 to 120 millimeter mercury. And we have diastolic blood pressure. So what is about the diastolic blood pressure? It is the pressure in the arteries when heart rests between. Okay, whenever the heart is resting between two beats, that is where you have diastolic blood pressure. Okay, so the normal blood pressure, diastolic blood pressure is from 70 to 80. So you always measure the blood pressure in limited mercury using an instrument called sphygmomanometer. I hope you all have seen it. Okay, and then so we give the blood pressure at 120 by 80 millimeter Hg. Okay, so in aging, the male or female, your gender, stressful mentality, diseases of a human, everything can increase the blood pressure. So another transportation system that is closely linked with the blood circulatory system is something different, and it's obviously very hard to understand because we don't give much attention to this system. Just call as the lymphatic system. This is closely related to the blood circulatory system. We'll just go through it quickly. Okay, just like the lymphatic heart blood circulatory system, the lymphatic system also has lymph vessels and it has some lymph nodes and so and so. You know, blood capillaries, they transport blood through the cells in the tissues. The blood capillaries are very thin. Okay, so but only WBC and plasma can move through the capillary wall. RBC and some plasma proteins cannot move through the capillary wall. Okay, so this fluid moved tissue is known as tissue fluid. Okay, so you know the blood capillaries, they are very thin. Through this capillary wall, you know, like this. Let's see. This is blood capillaries. These are the wall. Some plasma and WBC can go like this. They can be gone through the capillary wall. Okay, so now this is like a fluid now. This fluid is what we call tissue fluid. Okay, so the material exchange within somatic cells in blood occurs through this tissue fluid. Okay, so whatever that is being exchanged within our cells and the blood, that happens with the help of this tissue fluid. So this part of the tissue fluid will be absorbed back into the capillaries, and the excess tissue fluid will be there in the intercellular spaces and so on. They will connect the blood circulatory system using a like a tubular system, which is called the lymphatic system. Now you can see these are the lymphatic system in our body, where you have the right subclavian vein. The right lymphatic duct will be draining into it. Lymphatic duct is related to lymphatic system. And then again, you have the left subclavian vein, which is related to blood circulatory system, where the thoracic duct will be draining into that. In intestine, you have there are lymph nodes and so on and so. So the tissue where you call, within the lymphatics, you call it as lymph. The lymphatic tissues consist of lacteals. Remember the lacteals we were talking in the digestion? Yeah, that is the person. So lacteals. Then you have lymph capillaries, you have lymph nodes. The lymph is like flowing due to pressure. Sorry. Lymph is flowing due to pressure caused by muscles around lymph vessels. All the lymph vessels in the body form two main vessels. They are the thoracic duct and the right lymphatic duct. Always better to remember this thoracic duct and right lymphatic duct. So the thoracic duct will empty into the left subclavian vein, and then the right lymphatic duct will empty into the empties the lymph into the right subclavian vein, and then it will be going into the venous circulation. So what is the main function of the lymphatic system? Whenever there is an infectious organism like bacteria, will destroy it. Because why? In the lymph nodes, we have WBC. This WBC will destroy everything by phagocytosis inside the tissue fluid, not inside the blood. So therefore, whenever you have some infection, some place you have nodes like below your ear, in your groin area, you have some nodes. Okay, these are nodes where there is a fight between the bacteria and our lymph can be actually around in our liver, heart, intestine, skin, in the armpits, close to throat and all. You will have that thing, right? So this is about the lymphatic system. Nothing to worry about the lymphatic system. Just remember the function. These two vessels, and basically that's it. Right, now we come to the diseases which are associated with blood circulatory system. Mainly we have atherosclerosis, heart attack, hypertension, thrombosis. Obviously, you know everything. Okay, I'll explain how. First, we have atherosclerosis. Some people eat so much of lipid and they have high cholesterol level in their blood. Yes, this cholesterol will tend to, they are insoluble, okay, and they are always transported in our blood with a protein called lipoprotein, and they are with the proteins, and they become lipoproteins. Why? Cholesterol is lipid and proteins are proteins. So you take the lipo there, you take the protein there. Now they are called lipoproteins. These lipoproteins are of two types, where there is LDL and HDL, low density and high density. So high density guy is very good. Low density is very bad. Okay, whenever we have excess amount of low density lipoproteins, they will deposit in the coronary arteries. Arteries that supply blood to the heart itself. Heart also needs oxygen. So they supply to the heart muscles. So whenever there is a deposit of lipoprotein inside the coronary arteries, now the area is blocked, right? There's blockage of the arteries. So therefore, what happens? The size of the artery, the lumen of the artery will reduce, and the lipid deposits like this, we call it as atheroma, and it will cause a condition called atherosclerosis. And if there's blockage of the coronary arteries, then the blood supply to the heart is also will be affected. Okay, so some part of the cardiac muscles will be failed, and that is what we call angina, where it will lead to a very, very striking chest pain. Due to blockage of the coronary arteries, the regions of the cardiac muscle, it will not receive blood, and that will be failed, and now you call it as heart failure. Okay, so this is how atherosclerosis or high cholesterol level in our body leads to heart failure. So therefore, we have to reduce the consumption of LDL by reducing saturated fatty acids from beef, pork, mutton, full cream milk, and then eating much egg yolk, prawns, and liver. So also, if you do regular exercises, we can control atherosclerosis. Then very easily, hypertension means high blood pressure, hypotension means low blood pressure. Okay, it is also because of the deposition of the cholesterol inside the arteries where the lumen will get reduced. So therefore, the heart will try hard to pump the blood. So therefore, there will be hypertension. Okay, and also in some cases, there will be reduction of the elasticity of the artery. So it will lead to hypotension. So you have to reduce the consumption of so and so. You can just go through this. Okay. And then finally, we have thrombosis. So thrombosis, when the blood supply to a certain organ is affected due to a blood clot in a blood vessel, is called thrombosis. So what is a thrombosis? There is a blood clot. Okay, so usually the blood is fluid inside our body. When there's a blood clot out of nowhere in our circulation, it can block the vessels. This is called thrombosis. So if the block is close to the brain, then the blood supply to the brain will be failed. So if there is no blood supply to the brain will fail, and it causes paralysis. Okay, and if there is a blood clot close to the coronary artery, there will be coronary thrombosis. And if there is a blockage of coronary arteries, what will happen? You already know, heart attack or heart failure. Anything can happen. Okay, so from the childhood itself, we have to control thrombosis. How? You have to avoid alcohol and smoking, reduction of the consumption of food containing high saturated fatty acid. Saturated fatty acids, where are they found? Beef, pork, mutton, egg yolk, prawns, and so on. You can eat, but in limited amount. And then you have to consume more food with fiber, because fiber will help you to remove all the cholesterol in your body, and then reduce the salt consumption, and you have to maintain your body weight, and then regular physical exercises, and always be peaceful. Manage your stress. Okay, and also some people, their families might have the history of heart attacks, hypertension, diabetes. You all have to be very careful of these diseases. Okay, so that is the end of circulation. So again, I have some questions. Yeah. So this is from 2017, which is a very easy paper. Okay, let's see. Some components in the human blood are given below: red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, proteins, glucose, calcium, urea, so and so. Which blood cells are most abundant in? What is it?
RBC.
Red blood cells.
Red blood cells. Good. Of the components given above, write 2 components that belong to blood plasma.
Urea. Proteins.
Yeah. Except these 3, everything else belongs to plasma. Then state a nitrogenous waste materials here.
Urea.
Yeah. What else? They're not given here. What are the other nitrogenous waste materials?
Uric acid. Creatinine.
389. Very good. So yeah. Then given below is the diagram of a blood cell that belongs to a certain type. To which component given above does the cell belong?
White blood cells.
Yes. Yes, the white blood cells. State a function of the blood component to which the cell given in A above belongs.
Destroys pathogens.
Yes, you can say protect our body from infectious diseases by phagocytosis and by producing antibodies. So that's how you impress your examiner. Okay, so that's all for that question. I have another one. Okay, here it is. It's from 2019. Was it easy? Yeah, it was also easy. Whenever you are trying 2018 paper, it will be hard, but don't worry. People got through it. People got A for that. Okay, just don't worry about the paper. It's quite hard. Answer only 3 questions. Okay, that's really necessary. 5th one, figure 1 presents a sketchy line diagram which shows the internal structure of the human heart. Name the blood vessels A, B, C, and D. Okay, what is A?
Superior vena cava.
Superior vena
Superior
cava.
vena. Exactly. What is B?
Aorta.
Aorta. What is C?
Pulmonary artery.
Pulmonary artery. And finally, what are D?
Pulmonary veins.
Pulmonary vein. Very good. Then, when comparing with the composition of the blood flowing through D, what is the main difference in the composition of blood flowing through C?
Deoxygenated blood.
Yes, which has deoxygenated blood, C or D?
D.
Which has deoxygenated blood?
D.
D. Think well. Now this is pulmonary artery, right? This is pulmonary vein, right? So a pulmonary artery is not like any other artery in our body. All the other artery in our body will have oxygen, but artery will have deoxygenated blood. That C will have deoxygenated blood, while D will have oxygenated blood. Understood? If not, I'll tell again. All got it right? I hope yes. Right. Next, what is the valve named E? Where's E here? What is the
Bicuspid valve.
yeah, it's in the left side, so it's bicuspid valve. Very good. Describe briefly how the characteristic lub and dub sound heard during the heartbeat. So when you hear lub,
It is heard when the bicuspid and tricuspid valve closes.
yeah, closer during the atrial contraction. Good. What about dub?
It is heard when the semilunar valves close.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, next, the two indicates the changes in the potential corresponding ECG. Which stage of cardiac cycle is denoted by T?
Intervening.
Intervening.
Intervening. Yes, it's intervening. Good. So P systole. No, it's diastole. Right? And you have to know about QRS and then the T. Okay. Heart muscles are weakened by the blockage of blood vessels supplying blood to them by blood clots. What's the condition?
Thrombosis.
Coronary
Thrombosis.
thrombosis.
So you have to know about the diseases as well, because in the end of the question they tend to ask, but they don't like ask this is thrombosis and what will happen there and so and so. They give you the definition, they give you the idea, and they ask you the name. So you have to know that one. Okay, I think that's all we could do for today. We couldn't do excretion and chemical coordination. But I hope whatever we did is useful for you. You have any doubts, you can ask. You can put in the chat as well. Now I can see. Any doubts? Do you want to ask anything else? Yeah. Okay. There's a doubt about the cardiac cycle. I'll just quickly go through it. Y'all can give me 2 minutes. Okay. So now the cardiac cycle comprises of 3 stages. Just remember that. You know, it's really complicated than what you study now. But when you study later, you will understand very clearly than this. But for the time being, you have three things. Okay, you have atrial contraction, ventricular contraction, and intervening. So this part over here is atrial contraction, which is the diastole. QRS completely is systole, which is ventricular contraction. And then you have intervening T, which is the atrial and ventricular relaxation. This is what we study here. We go to A level and more, you will really get a good idea of this. Okay, for the time being, just remember this. And you should know the time also. When the contraction of atria is there, it is diastole. When there's contraction of ventricles, it's systole. And when they both are in relaxing mode, it's intervening. Okay. So you all go through the excretion and chemical coordination as well. You will definitely have one question. Don't forget to study reproduction also. It's obviously easy to get an A in science. So just revise everything you all know. And that's it. Okay, then shall we wind up? Right, okay. Thank you so much for joining.